Hey everybody, it's me, Zach. This is Potato, and welcome back to our channel. Hey everybody, it's me, Zach, and I'm back again to give my recap and review of this week's episode of the critically acclaimed, Academy Award winning, Emmy nominated, Tony future winning Broadway show. I don't know why I'm trying to use all these words. They really did win a reality TV award, which sounds kind of made up, but it was an award that they did receive. They did win one, the 1,000 Pound Sisters, starring Tammy, Amy, Amanda, Misty, Chris's wife Brittany, Amanda's several sons that I don't really know the name of, Mama Slaton, that fuck named Michael. Yes, all the Slatons are back again this week to star in another crazy week of shenanigans, another ridiculous episode, besties. It was something. Just all the way around, the whole thing. And it felt like not a lot happened, but also so much happened. You know, there are some episodes of this show sometimes where they do 10 different activities in one episode. And this episode, we get like them going grocery shopping. Tammy goes grocery shopping. She hosts a party. And then a big-ass fight at the end of the episode. And that was that. And I gotta tell you, you know, I am not the greatest content creator ever. And I often take cues from other great content creators. And I saw Amberlynn Reid record herself crying while watching the 1,000 Pound Sisters premiere episode. And I realized, you know what I do as well? Cry. You know what I could do? Record myself crying while I watch the episode. So this is a little bit of a spoiler because the crying doesn't happen till the end of the episode. But I just thought I would try something new here and share a little bit of my raw emotion with you all while I was crying while I was watching this episode this week.
Do it.
It's been a day. I didn't know coming home the world was gonna fall apart.
Next time on 1,000 Pounds.
That's how it is.
Honestly, Caleb, the one thing that I want you to know.
All of that aside, it was a crazy episode, so let's just hop right into it, okay? The episode starts off and we're with just Tammy, and Tammy is kind of sharing with the camera about how she was kind of like a little upset about the whole fight that happened with Amy and Amanda at the end of last week's episode. If you don't recall, Amy got upset because Amanda made a comment about her eyes and her vision and her not being able to see and things like that, and Amy took it personally and got really upset with Amanda. And Tammy expressed that she was like a little bit concerned because she's like, we all make fun of each other all the time. Tammy's like, people make fun of my forehead in this family all the time, like, let's be serious. Which I do think is fair, because literally right before they made the reason they made the joke about Amy's eyesight is because they were dragging Miss Tammy for her little tracussy, her little tracussy. I don't think we ever came to a conclusion on how to say that, other than there was one person that was like, maybe you should just not say it at all, Zach. But you know, the whole where her trach was, they were making fun of that, and that led to them making fun of Amy, which a lot of people in the comments seem to be like, girl, get a grip, it was just a joke. And to some extent, I also agree, right? Like, it's clear, we've been watching these girlies for 5 seasons. The people in this family love to joke with each other. I think the thing is, and something that does get reiterated throughout this episode, because Amy does sit down later and talk to Tammy about it, Amy does sit down later and talk to Amanda about it. The thing is that Amy is just clearly at her fucking wit's end, right? She is on the brink of like a mental breakdown is what it seems like to me. And I think that that's the part that is the reason that she's really like got so upset over the eye comment, because it's clear that these girlies do poke fun at one another all the time. The other thing, though, that I will say is that it's interesting because I get a lot of comments too. Well, I've in the past historically gotten comments about how Amy shouldn't complain about having 2 kids and not being able to take care of them on her own and this, that, the other because she made that decision. I just want to shut that down real quick because if you're about to come into my comments and talk about that today, I mean, say what you want. I'm not going to keep you from saying it in the comments, but I just think that's real foolish because I think there are times that women get into relationships with men and don't ever imagine a world where they're going to be a bum and they're not going to do shit and they're not going to be helpful, okay? And, you know, it's very clear that some stuff in her relationship with Michael started going south at some point because we also fully have seen a different Michael at different points on this show. We used to see a Michael that was so helpful and help and care for Tammy, was so considerate, at least from what we saw. And it's clear that some things have changed, okay? He has changed, and I think it's reasonable if Amy is like, I can't take any more of this. But on that same note, I got a weird number of comments. Well, I don't want to call it weird. Let me not pass any judgment on it, even though I already did, obviously. But like, there were a number of comments that were like, I don't have any sympathy for Amy because I saw that TikTok, I saw that video you did about her smoking with the kid on her lap, and that's just unforgivable. And listen, I don't disagree. Amy definitely needs to come out and have a conversation with y'all, with her fans, with the people that love the show, with the people that used to love her, and talk about, you know, taking some accountability for that and what she's going to do to not put that baby in danger of secondhand smoke again, okay? I'm fully on board with you there. I just want to say that there's also nuance, right? Like, I think we can also, I'm outlining this because Amy is the plot point today in this episode, okay? The nonsense that happens to Amy in this episode is crazy. And like, yes, we can have this conversation about how she shouldn't be out here smoking with a kid on her lap. And we can also have a full other conversation where we can be empathetic and understanding to like why Michael's put her through some fuck shit. Okay, all right. So I just wanted to get that out there because, you know, these are characters to some extent on a reality TV show on TLC. And on the other hand, they're also like real life humans. And that's always been my approach with old Amy and Tammy. It has not always worked in my favor. A lot of people have said that I'm a Tammy Slaton apologist. And you know what? Maybe this season I turned into an Amy Slaton apologist. I'm not really apologizing because I really do think she should address the cigarette thing. But I'm just saying, I'm just trying to see things from every side, okay? And I'll also say, for the record, her smoking with that kid on her lap on the TikTok happened way after all of this was filmed. So it's hard to say what has happened in between now and then anyways, or then and now. And not that that means that she wasn't smoking with a kid on her lap back then, because also what I think is interesting is, I mentioned this in my last video, I have an outline here and I'm just rambling. That's the kind of day I've been having. But anyways, I do think it's interesting, and I said this in my last video, that Miss Amy has gotten lucky in that the show has edited around her smoking. Like, it has almost never shown her smoking in the past, and there is a clip at the end of this episode where she's sitting outside smoking with Amanda. So I do think that's interesting as well. But anyways, my whole point of going down this road was just to say that, you know, I think there's nuance and we can talk about both things, and we can have empathy in some situations while also still acknowledging that, like, Amy needs to make some changes in the way that she takes care of her kids. Right? Fair enough? You feel me? Anyways, back to Tammy. Back to Tammy and back to the episode. Tammy was talking about the family drama, right? And she was trying to talk about how she has to get reanimated to her family's drama.
It's something I gotta get used to again. Have to get calculated. Is that a word? I don't know. Reanimated. Acclimated.
There you go. I just laughed as I sat there and watched her try to figure out the word acclimated. I just laughed and laughed and laughed. And I just gotta hand it to the editors. They love to drag the shit out of these girls and their mastery or lack thereof of the English language. So anyways, old Chris comes over while Tammy's sorting her pills.
That's a big bitch.
And he's gonna take her to the grocery store. And I do appreciate Chris. Chris is a very level-headed member of the family. I feel like I ain't never seen him get in a fight with nobody. And he's very level-headed, and he has a heart-to-heart with Tammy about Caleb and about not like bottling up her emotions, because I guess in the van ride on the way home from the rehab facility, they stopped at a gas station, and when he came back to the van, she was weeping. And I do have some concerns about Tammy because she mentions and talks about how she doesn't really want to be talking about Caleb, and she plans to just bottle it up again.
Right now, I'm just coping. Like, I'm suppressed the feelings. I don't want to sit around and cry and think about it, because I do, then I'm gonna get depressed. So I just block it out.
And one way that she plans to bottle it up and keep herself busy is by hosting a housewarming party for herself so that she doesn't have to think about it. She can just focus on planning that party. And I guess my frustration with all of this is that in the last episode, I talked about how much I felt, well, and I really do feel like Tammy still has grown a whole lot in terms of taking care of herself and things like that. But I did make some assumptions about the way that Tammy handles like her mental health, because I felt like to some extent she couldn't have gotten as far as she did if she didn't do some work on herself. And I think she probably has. But it is still frustrating to me that after all this time, after everything that Tammy has been through, she's still approaching her feelings like this. Like, this has been Tammy's problem on the show, is anytime anything difficult emotions-wise comes up, or conflict, or things like that, like Tammy shuts down and Tammy doesn't want to talk about it. So I just hope we see some growth in that regards this season, because especially knowing that Caleb does end up passing away, like, I just hope for her well-being, that she is finding healthy ways to, like, not keep that stuff bottled up, healthy ways to, you know, process those things, mourn, grieve, whatever it might be. So Tammy and Chris do go to the grocery store, but part of that is Tammy trying to sit in the front seat of the van for the very first time, and she does in fact do it, and I just gotta say, I love the little, like, custom wooden step stool they had for her.
There you go, girl.
But yeah, she gets in the front seat, so let's fucking go, girly pop! Let's go! And she gets rewarded with a little vibration on her booty hole.
I feel all the little vibrations on my butt.
How's that feel?
Weird.
And this show remains one of the most unserious shows I've ever seen on the history of television. Because tell me why they got Tammy in this grocery store zooming around with her little tiny ass cart.
I look like I'm trying to push Barbie's dream house cart.
Do you want eggs?
Yeah. In rehab, they were...
Like, outside of those little shots of her zooming around, the grocery store was rather boring. I mean, they tried to make it seem like she made a bad decision because she bought some cream cheese.
Get some cream cheese.
Fat kid gotta eat.
But then they didn't focus on the other things in her basket at all. Like, she had fruits, veggies, proteins in her basket, but they're like, oh my God, Tammy got a cream cheese. Is she off the wagon? She got a cream cheese. I really ought to start filming these later at night, because why am I being so goofy? I'm so weird, I'm so quirky, I'm so random. So Amy comes over to Tammy's house to help Tammy get ready for the party. And she has a piñata. She has these hats that say Free Tammy. And honestly, I need one of these shits. So Amy and Tammy, if you're watching and you just got one laying around, please reach out in the DMs. I would love to pay for the shipping. I would love to pay you for the material, whatever you need. If I could have one, that would be so iconic. Listen, they actually have it. Neither one has DM'd me in a while. They have DM'd me in recent history anniversary, but it's been a few weeks. So I don't know if y'all are still watching, but if you are and you got one of them hats just sitting around, I would love one. I would love one so much. But anyways, Amy does end up sitting down, like I mentioned earlier. She sits down with Tammy and she apologizes for the way she acted and behaved because, you know, it really should have been about Tammy and she was being really immature and the way that she responded to everything.
Sorry I left like the other day, how I left. That was really immature. I just wish you would have tried a little harder not to do it on my first. But it is what it is. Like, just let it roll off your shoulders.
And honestly, the way that she, like, immediately, like, was nearly in tears while having this conversation was enough for me to just be like, yeah, girl, you are at the end of your fucking rope. But for some reason, I'm not really sure what about this conversation leads to Tammy saying this, but Tammy starts talking about feeling like she's a burden to Amy. I guess she was trying to say that she feels like she's added on to Amy's stress. Like, Tammy can identify that Amy is stressed because she has the 2 boys to look after, maybe some of this stuff that's going on with their mom, Michael's lazy ass, all of that. And so I think Tammy started feeling like, listen, I feel like I've been a burden to you. You shouldn't have to worry about me on top of all the other things. Which leads to Amy in a separate, like, little confessional moment having this conversation about how, like, Tammy's not a burden, which is, precious. I very much appreciate that. She's like, listen, Tammy's not a burden. I love her so much. I would do this for her 10 more times. Like, love her. But then goes on to talk about how, like, she would stand by Tammy even if Tammy was a murderer.
You can murder somebody and I will still take your side because you are my sister. Really? No, I probably wouldn't be honest with you. Like that bitch murdered somebody and go to hell. Hell no. Bitch, go call Amanda for that one.
So after all of that, now listen, this whole moment of them getting ready, like after that like serious part of this scene, everything after that is just like classic 1,000 Pound Sisters fucking nonsense, and I lived for all of it. Starting with them trying to put together a charcuterie board, and the MVP of today's show might just be Tammy and Amy's understanding of how language works in general.
Like a charcuterie board.
What's a coochie board?
A coochie board? It's just basically a little bit of everything.
Charcuterie board? Charcuterie? Charcuterie board. I think it's a French word.
It's also possible, though, that the star of this show might be them spanking each other with the cooterie board.
Hey, that's a good paddle. Window.
Is that all you got?
I feel like I'm hitting coochie with this coochie.
That's what the cootie board.
Oh my God, I'm
Now
sorry.
it is your cootie board.
Listen, they are just, it's so funny. Like, I don't know if they intend to be that funny, but that whole charcuterie board scene, all of it, I mean, we're also not even done with it yet, but everything up to this point had me actually LOLing, you know? Not just like the metaphorical LOL, the literal laughing out loud. At one point, Amy decides that their charcuterie board needs a little more color to it, and at that point I was like, is she about to bring out the hot tamales?
Oh my God, this looks so bad. Like, I need something here. If I could have anything here right now, it would definitely be strawberries, but we're gonna stick with something else. They're like hot tamales. They're like little candies.
But no, instead, Amy brings out a jar of pickles, and Amy and Tammy sit there for a long while struggling to open the jar of pickles, which leads them to talking about how Amy likes a bigger pickle.
You got 2 children. I thought you knew how to handle a pickle.
They're usually the bigger people.
You know,
Which leads to Amy then also talking about how she doesn't see size, she doesn't see color, but she has seen a lot of pickles.
We don't care. All shapes and sizes are
preferably,
fine.
I like the bigger pickles.
Big, little, darker, lighter, it don't matter. There are darker pickles than lighter pickles, okay? Gherkins are darker than a dill.
She's been around a lot of pickles.
I'm actually talking about pickles, y'all.
And it's a big deal.
You're a dildo. No, a deal, no.
But truly, it really was just some classic 1,000 Pound Sisters shenanigans. I really missed that in the last season. We didn't get a lot of, like, Amy and Tammy just doing Amy and Tammy things together, you know, because Tammy was in the rehab facility for all of season 4. That's all we saw her do in season 4. And so we didn't get to really watch them interact in like a fun, goofy, silly way. So I welcome that shit back. Let's get more of that, please. We do briefly get to check in with Caleb back at the rehab facility. And one thing that I think is particularly interesting is that Caleb talks about feeling like a burden to Tammy.
I'll try not to tell her bad stuff. I don't want her worrying about me and stuff like that. Try to not be, like, feel like I'm a burden or something.
Understand.
And I don't have a lot to add to that. I mean, I don't know that Tammy probably does view him as a burden. I will say one time when I was at one of my most, like, depressed levels in my day, back when I was quite a few years younger than I am now, I told my therapist that I didn't feel like I had anybody I could talk to without feeling like a burden. And he was like, what makes you think you're a burden? Like, do you know you're a burden? Like, do you have evidence that supports that? And I was like, you know what? That's wild. And after I met with my therapist, I already had plans to meet up with a friend. And I said, I'm going to look for evidence. I'm going to look for evidence. And I asked my friend, I said, am I a burden to you? Like, do you feel like when I share about the troubles I'm facing, do you feel like I'm a burden? And that friend was like, no. You're not. You're not a burden. And that has stood by me for so long in terms of just, like, being honest about how I'm feeling and having open communication with the people that I care about. Because also, it's fine if people have boundaries with you and if you know, are doing too much, it's okay for people to say those things. Like, to say, hey, like, I love you, I care about you. We're going to have to find out some other solutions to help you with this because I can't handle them all on my own. But, like, I feel like if we just, like, checked in with people, more often than not, people would probably tell us we're not really burdens. And so I just thought it was interesting that in this episode, both Caleb and Tammy were sharing concerns to people that they were a burden. And I wonder if people really actually felt that way. I mean, we heard from Amy that Amy didn't feel like Tammy was a burden. But I feel like Tammy would also not find Caleb to be a burden. Caleb, in general, though, did share some things about emotional eating, and he also said something that I felt was really grim, knowing, like, what ends up happening, but he said, this is the final showdown, it's me versus myself, and I just, it's just so hard to watch this season, knowing some of the things that come, you know? It's tough. It's tough watching with that knowledge. So we get to the day of the party, and of course, Tammy's worried about people fighting, but that's not exactly what Amy's worried about.
Ooh, we be fighting. There's a lot of people, a lot of farting. Well, that too, but I said fighting.
And I just gotta say, I'm so annoyed because this is nearly halfway through the fucking episode and it's the first shitting, pissing, and farting joke we've got the whole episode so far. Unless I missed something. I was like, you really made me sit through half of this episode without hearing something about shit, piss, or farting? Rude TLC. And that way I need the editors to do better. But I guess they did give us a whole segment about pickles and penises. So maybe the trade-off is fair. So Amy and Amanda do sit down to talk about the fight that they had at the end of last week's episode. And here's what I'll say about Amanda. I feel like she is ready to fight if people bring that energy to her. But it's clear in this conversation that she has with Amy that she also really loves her sister and is really concerned about her sister's well-being. And the other thing that I want to say is that, once again, it's very clear to me that Amy's at her wit's end because the second she starts to try to apologize to Amanda about the situation, she's already in tears.
I just want to say I'm sorry. And the reason why I got upset...
Don't cry, sis.
But for real, Amanda talks about, like, depression and taking care of your mental health in a way that feels so genuine and authentic, and And I think, like, something, I don't even know that, like, somebody in my family, like I was trying to think, like, that is such an honest conversation to have with somebody, that if you're having that conversation with them, then you must really care about them, you know? And I think that that's why so many of us love Amanda, is she's ready to fucking fight, but she also is ready to fight because she cares. She clearly cares a lot about her sister and wants her sister to be in a good place. So yeah, so Amanda in general during this part is already sharing concerns, okay? This is the preface for what happens in the rest of the episode. But in this scene alone, it's just a party. And Michael's not there. It's just Amy and her kids. So Amanda's got a lot of thoughts to say. And she's already talking about basically how she thinks Michael needs to step up, to do more, to be better. And one thing she does mention is that Michael doesn't work. And I do just want to go back, because when I reacted to the trailer for this season, it included the fight that happens at the end of this episode, right? And a lot of that is surrounding, and we'll get to it more in depth later when I'm talking about it, but that fight involves like Amy's debit card or credit card or something along those lines. And I mentioned that I thought it was so weird because, like, as far as I knew, Michael had a full-time job still and also filmed for the TV show. And I gotta tell you, this is probably the last time I talked to Amy Slaton, so that was like weeks ago, right, when I made that reaction video to the trailer. But she did tell me that Michael hasn't worked for a considerable amount of time since they started making the show, and that he wasn't working a job at all. And so I think that context really is important because, you know, not that it would give him an excuse, but I would have understood the situation maybe slightly differently if, like, Michael was working at a factory job, like, 9 hours a day or something like that, you know? Like, then I might understand if he's not able to help out with the kids as much or something like that. But if you want to tell me he's just kicking back at the old house, playing video games, not helping Amy with the kids, yeah, fuck that. Fuck that. And fuck that even more when we're going to talk about that credit card he will give her later, all right? Because fuck that. But basically, Amy's at her wit's end. A lot of it has to do with not getting any help. She's considering getting a nanny. She really wants to be able to just, like, find out who she is, find out about herself. Like, she doesn't have any time outside of being a mom. That's her whole life. And I think it is fair that, you know, she is able to have a life outside of just being a mom. Like, many people are moms. It's okay to have a life outside of being a mom too, you know? I will say when it comes to the nanny thing, Amanda does say, like, bestie, your husband. So yeah, if you don't got a job, why the fuck are you hiring a nanny when Michael's just sitting there doing nothing? Please. Please. So anyways, all the family starts showing up, all kinds of people we ain't never seen on this television show before, which is fine. Maybe we should keep it that way. The cast and crew is getting rather large at this point. And I don't mean that in, like, size-wise, I just mean there's a lot of them, okay? But Mama Slaton is back, and they do a flashback of one of Mama Slaton's first fucking scenes on this show, season 1, where she says that she does not think Tammy would make it through a weight loss surgery or this, that, the other. And Mama Slaton comes out and says that she's proud of Tammy.
5 years back, I said you'd never be able to do it. And I'm so proud that you made myself a liar.
Now, she does go on to talk about how it's been a year and a half since she's seen Tammy. And I just want to remind people before y'all start being too proud of Mama Slaton, okay? Which I don't know if you are or not, but she's over here like, I haven't seen her in a year and a half, this, that, the other. I just want to remind you that that is of Mama Slaton's own choice, because Tammy's siblings full on, like, tried to convince her to make a trip to the rehab facility to see Tammy. They tried to get her to go for the wedding, and old Mama Slaton refused, okay? So just so we're on the same page about Mama Slaton, I just want to let y'all know. But anyways, I'm just so glad that Tammy proved old Mama Slaton wrong, because that woman has been a thorn in my side, and I'm not even her child, okay? I'm not even that woman's child, so I can't imagine what it must feel like to be Tammy, to be like, this thorn is out of my side, I'm done. And while at the party, as the party's wrapping up, or at least as they're wrapping up that scene of this episode, we do see Amy start to break down over just everything, that her kid's being crazy and who knows what for. And you hear some people say, if she's crying over Michael, like, that's it, I'm done with him, blah, blah, blah. So the seeds are being planted for just this, like, fucking wild ending to this episode. Now, I just need to give y'all my sincerest, deepest apologies, because I'm looking at my notes as I'm in the editing mode, and I somehow left out one of the most ridiculous parts of this party, where they played Pin the Trach on Tammy.
And I thought it would be cute to have a Pin the Trach on Tammy. That's good family fun.
And then they had this whole conversation about the Drakes looking like penises. And then that somehow led to Amy groping the microphones that were in the little confessional scene. It was a lot. It was a lot. I don't know how I forgot to mention that when I was recording and filming.
The Drakes look like penises.
They did.
Like this.
That's trying to be nice.
Did you just grope it?
So this episode ends in a scene where Misty, Amanda, and Tammy come over to Amy's house. And the goal is for the four of them to, I guess, make a video to put out a help wanted ad for a nanny or something. I don't know. Michael's apparently there the whole time, but doesn't seem to be too involved in the process, nor in, like, just watching over his own kids while they try to do this. And I guess before we get too far into that, I should note that this is also the first time that Tammy's been inside Amy's home, allegedly. If I recall correctly, when Amy moved into this home, Tammy was having a similar breakdown to the ramp breakdown, except this time I think it was about a step into Amy's house. Now, the way that Tammy seems to remember is she was just being lazy. That's what she said in this episode. That's why she couldn't go in the past. But anyways, yeah, they're trying to film this little video to get a nanny or something. But while they're trying to make this video, Amy starts breaking down again, which leads to them talking about, you know, like, Michael does need to step up. More of the same stuff that we've already heard her say in the previous parts of the episode. She's reiterating those things, like, y'all need to come together. And I honestly, at least at the start of this, I feel like she was really trying to give Michael a chance, right? Like, I feel like Amanda was trying to be like, you care about this marriage, you care about this relationship, like, y'all can work through this. Here's what you're gonna need to do. He's gonna need to give you space. He's gonna need to let you go do things. Y'all don't need to be spending all your time together. Blah, 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 blah. I felt like Amanda was really trying to be civil, okay? But eventually somebody's like, hey, Michael should be in here. If we're looking for a nanny for his kids, like, he should be a part of this process. So Amanda calls him in, and the best he can do is sit there with his little iPad. I don't know why I picked up my keyboard, but he sat there with his little iPad, and he's just like this. And Amy's like, well, Bestie, like, what do you want? What do you want me to say? What would be helpful?
You married Amy?
Well, hold on. First, what do you want me to ask? They're your kids, too.
Help with kids. I mean,
can you elaborate?
And this, Michael is just so damn fucking useless in his response. And that was just the beginning of the end for me, because I was like, how is that helpful? And I appreciated Amy being like, dude, could you elaborate? Could you add anything to the table here? But it's around that time that Amanda starts letting Michael know a little bit about himself.
I want to say this real quick. You have got to start doing better about supporting her. When she's upset like this, you're going to have to take the kids away and give her a minute. Do you know what I see when I walk around and I walk in here? I see a messy house, yes. But do you know what I see? I see that my sister's so depressed that she has no energy to get up and clean and do dishes.
And then we find out that Michael isn't okay with Amy going anywhere without the kids. Like, if she leaves, she has to take the kids with her. And when Amanda says that Amanda, Tammy, and Amy want to go to Costco or Sam's Club, I don't remember which big box store it was, but when they say they want to go grocery shopping, essentially, Michael gets all mad and defensive and is like, I already had that. I was already planning on doing that. And then we find out that Michael keeps all of Amy's, like, money-related cards, debit cards, credit cards, whatever it might be, in his wallet and doesn't allow her to use them without his permission.
Michael also has my cards in his wallet. He's in charge of all the spending. I'm not allowed to spend anything unless I ask permission.
Now let me just be real fucking clear, Michael fucking Halterman. If you don't got a job, and the only way you make money is this damn television show, and the television show is called The 1,000 Pound Sisters, and the 1,000 Pound Sisters in question are Tammy and your fucking wife, Amy, what exactly is it that you fucking do here that you can sit here and take control of Amy's financial purse strings? What? Who gave you the chicken permission, my dude? Fuck off! Like, it's wild to me that he doesn't realize that without Amy, there would be no money. If you're not working a job, the only one bringing money into this household is Amy, who is the star of this reality television show. So Amy gets real frustrated, and her and Amanda go outside, and they smoke a cigarette outside together. I think it's a little too soon to be showing that on camera TLC. There's too much TikTok drama that's gone unaddressed.
You are 35. If you want to go,
I want to go, but at the end of the day, it's going to cause a fight.
I will say, at least she was doing it outside. At least she was smoking outside. But Amanda's basically like, yeah, let's pack this shit up. We're getting you out of this situation, sis. Like, you and the boys do not need to be in this situation. Fuck this man is essentially where Amanda's at. She's over it because he's obviously out of line, okay? And then the fight, listen, I said the fight popped off already. The fight really pops off right at the very end, okay? And it's just Amanda, listen, I don't even know how to edit this down in a way that TLC won't try to copyright claim my video. But Amanda just really goes off on fucking Michael.
I just want to take you shopping. I don't
You
care if
take
you go.
me shopping every goddamn day, Michael!
I don't care if you go spend time with Amanda.
I can't just spend time with my sister.
I don't care if you go spend time
but
with
you
Tammy.
won't let her money.
I ain't giving. I don't care if she come over there to your house. I ain't
You
care if you go
give
to
her
Tammy.
her
Baby,
You're lying! You do care!
Got 2
You know
seconds
it.
to give her the debit card.
No,
or
he's
call
got
the
2
police.
seconds to get out of my house!
My voice with me.
No, you are
they're
not.
my children.
No,
not
you are
yours.
not. You ain't taking.
You either get out or I'm calling I got the goddamn money. Get out of my house. I'm packing me and the boys and I'm getting out if you won't.
Give her
because
her
I'm done. I'm getting a lawyer. I'm done.
And the episode ends and Tammy is calling the police and Amy is on the floor in fetal position crying. It was just so wild. And that's when I was crying, okay? That's when I was crying because, like, Amy clearly looked so upset, so frightened, so bothered by the situation. Tammy clearly was also very concerned to the extent that she's like, I don't know what else to do but call the cops. And it was a very emotional ending. And fuck Michael Halterman all day. And not in a good way, okay? Not in a good way whatsoever. Yeah, that's my thoughts. That's my thoughts. That was the episode. I am eagerly awaiting the next episode because, you know, I would like a little resolution. I do feel good knowing that, like, Amy is obviously in a different place now. She has fully left Michael, and probably for good reason. But I do want some resolution on the show. I do need to see what happens next. So I can't wait to see it. That's all my thoughts for this week's episode. I think that's all I got. I think that is. I enjoyed the episode though. I enjoyed it. I'm living for the fun, goofy moments, for the drama, all of it. I'll take all of it and I'll take 10 more on my desk tomorrow. Thank you so much, TLC. Anyways, that's all I have time for today. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. If you did and you're brand new here, make sure to subscribe down below and hit the bell button so you get notifications when I do post. Also, if you're brand new here, I do have a whole playlist of everything 1,000 pound sister related, including videos I did covering the Slatons before they were ever TLC stars. Make sure to leave me a comment, hit like, click share, and follow me on all my social media. I love you all so much, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye!